Well, good morning, guys. It's Friday the 19th of April. It's Good Friday. We've just knocked off yesterday for a 10-day break from work. So it's nice to have some time in the shed. I've finished Pete's upholstery work and now I'm ready to get back onto the ZF. I've been up to see Adam a couple of times, helped him out on his spray booth, put some walls up. He's really progressing well with that, so looking forward to seeing him get his car into there. In this video, I'll basically it's all pure body work. I'm going to now rub back that engine bay, fill any sort of the low spots, especially there's some holes that I've filled inside the engine bay. Want to get rid of a few of the factory creases that when they punch or stamp the parts out. Get rid of those. The plenum repair, it's great, but there's a few puckery bits in it, and a little bit of distortion here and there, so I'll fill all of that. I've put it into it's in the 2-pack primer. Sprayed a bit of guide coat over it, so I'm going to sand that back now and find the lows, fill them. I'm going to work my way right back. I've got a little bit of tidying up to do underneath the dashboard from the plenum repair, so I'll flip the car on its side and I'll stand and do that. And I'm just going to work my way back to that rust repair at the back window. So anyway, I'll leave you to it. Thanks for your comments on that upholstery video. That was pretty cool. A lot of fun doing that. And so just onwards and upwards now. It's not easy sanding an engine bay, but I was adamant I was going to do it. What I've decided to do was sort of just speed up the process a bit and really only focus on the areas that are seen. Things like the front of the shock towers. In fact, actually, I'm doing the whole shock towers, front and rear. Top of the shock towers, there's some puckers there from the factory. I'm also sort of focusing on the things that I've actually repaired or replaced. This radiator support, I'm not sure if you can see the dark patches there. I'm not sure if it's going to come out in the video. But those are all just lows. Now, they could be from factory, from when they originally stamped these things out. But I know that I've done a fair bit of welding on this, inserted the support in behind there and, done a lot of spot welding on there. So I'm going to, because that's a highly visible area, I'm going to actually sand that back and give that a really good, fill, sand it back again and just check it for straightness. They are just painted in sort of a satin black, but, I do want it to be really, really smart. The whole plenum, of course, back there, I'll do a full sand down and quite a comprehensive sort of filler job on that and sand that back again. You have to excuse me, I got a bit of a bloody cold. A change of plans. I'm not going to use at the minute I'm not going to use the All You Need, which is the high fill. I'm just going to put it back into 2-pack primer. Reason is that the All You Need is so expensive. It's about $300 for 4 or 5 litres, and I just don't have enough of the body done to mix any up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prep more of the body. I'm going to put this back into the 2-pack. So all these panels here, just basically everything that you see when you open the bonnet, the towers, tops of the towers, of course all of the plenum, and that section there's always a nasty pucker in there. Got rid of that. So we're good to go. Just cleaning these sills down. This is in excellent condition. There's a little section of rust down here at the back which I'm going to cut out. The whole thing's in really good condition. The actual seam along the bottom is as straight as an arrow. It means the car hasn't been bellied out or anything like that. I've just used a bit of stripper, and now I'm just going through sanding it all off. I'll do that rust repair. There's a little dent in here, but aside from that, it's bloody spot on. Okay, so I've just cut that piece out. That's the rear wheel tub. So this is the sill right up near the rear wheel. I'll just zoom in on this, show you what we've got. Okay, we've got a bit of rust in behind there. Might have to take more out. So it looks like that corner's rusted. I have to cut up in that line there. Come across to here. We'll see what that gives us. From in here, there's a hole. Okay, now, so what it appears, this panel is, I think, part of the, it's only a little bracket. What I might do is just cut that off, clean it up. I won't bother repairing it because there's plenty of support in there. I am going to cut this out and repair that hole there. Okay, so there's the first patch. I'm going to have to do it in two pieces. So I've managed to get around that corner a little bit rough in there, but from the inside, there's actually, I've checked it. There was one pinhole there where it had light, but I've closed it up, which is good. I've cut that support bracket off. It's no point in having it there, and I've just got to get around this corner here. So I'm just going to put a piece of cardboard in behind there and take a template of that. It's quite a unique shape. And I'll patch that in and then clean it up. Once I POR 15 that and let that go off, I'm going to put this kneaded in there. It's just going to seal up that. There's a factory hole in there, which is where two pieces of steel meet. Okay, she's a little bit industrial in there. It's pretty hard to get the MIG in there, but it's all solid steel. Okay, so that's the repair. You know, it's going to have this deadener stuff over it anyway, but I'm really happy with that, and it's a good repair. So here we have a brand new POR 15. Sick and tired of buying this stuff and trying to get the lid off, and even on the first attempt, you destroy the lid. That's how much this stuff sets. And then, of course, you never get a good seal, and of course, yeah, it just dies. You wind up by using half a tin, and you throw half away. And this stuff's, I can't remember, it's about $100. I can't remember, it's expensive. I went down to the hardware store and I bought these for $1.80 each. They're 500 mils, so I'm going to decant my POR 15 into 4 500 ml containers. I'll shoot around the other side and repair the other side. Okay, this side's a little bit more advanced, but we've also got some above the seam on the dog leg. Now I'm tipping that in behind here. As you can see, there's a hole. So I'm going to have to replace further up on this side. So I'm going to do both sections at the same time. But first things, I'll strip all the paint off this and clean her up and check for other rust. So on this side here, I'm not going to attack that seam. That's too tricky. So I'm going to cut that section out there, cut that top section out, do all the repairs in behind. I'm tipping that that sort of brace, I'm going to have to cut away again. But yeah, so there's a little bit of shape in here, which is pretty important because it follows that line of the guard down there. But I should be able to get it.
pretty much, it's the end cap for the sill. It's completely gone. You know, I love doing this sort of thing. It's a technical little repair actually, but when it's fixed, it's good as new, you know, and it's fixed properly. I mean, it's not going to sneak up and grab you in a couple of years, you know. If you don't do it, it's still going to be there. So in behind here, we've got the inner guard up here. It's rotted away. This piece of steel here is the end cap. It's the end cap to the sill, the internal end cap. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this inner guard out, and that will give me access to this. I'll have to replace that. Then I can actually replace this whole inner guard section. So I had to drill out these spot welds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, to loosen this. There we go. Pretty hot. Now we've got another one down there too. But I'm tipping that that's so rusty that it's all going to come off anyway. So you might see that this piece of steel here is inserted. There's obviously the inner sill. So I've got to unpick all of those spot welds, and we've got to replace this piece first, which is actually that support, that sill support from the outside. So it's pretty easy to do. And then I've got to recreate that inner guard, and then we can do the outside. This is actually a little bit easier than the other side, because I don't know if you can see that, but I made a mistake. I cut on the wrong angle, but I'm going to just weld that up. Yeah, this is a bit easier because it's bigger. You can see things. Okay, so I've cut all of that rotten steel away, and we're good to go. So we start patching in. So there's absolutely no rust in there. So it's a bit of surface rust, but I'll clean that off and POR 15 it, of course. I've cut this tab off a little bit. That tab and that tab, I've cut them short, so to save drilling out the spot welds. Okay, this piece of steel here is the internal tub. That piece of steel, which is clamped on there, is the inner guard flange. So what I need to do is come up with a piece of steel that shape, and actually that corner gets trimmed off. So what it's really tricky. It's a really tricky thing to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tack some pieces of steel across here, just bridge it, just to support it, and then I'm going to take it out and customize it. So what I've had to do is I've had to improvise, which I love doing. As you can see, I've just tacked that on there, and that's the shape I need to fill. But I have to do it attractively and sort of so it looks half pie factory. Okay, so I've got this piece finished. It's pretty intricate. So it's brilliant, if I might say so myself. So I had to put a little notch in there to actually navigate around those seams, and which is a bit of a pain. And so there's the lip. So it's quite a nice shape. Jesus, solid. This fits in here, and it needs to sort of spot weld together once they're in place. Wow, what an amazing repair! What a success, really. So I've replaced that that whole piece, that inner bracket, and there's the inner guard there. As you can see, it's notched around. I don't know if you can see that. So that's all in place there. It's spot welded. I've tacked it there as well between the two panels, and also two spot welds there. A couple of spot welds there down the bottom, and I had to seam weld that across there and around the corner. So that's really good because it's all solid steel all the way. You know, there's a nice gap all the way. Sometimes when there's bogus repairs done, you can actually put your fingers up there and feel bog and all sorts of horrible stuff. This has got a nice crisp line. You know, when your fingers run around there's a beautiful crisp line. Now if you are looking at these old cars, take that vent off. That's my repair. Okay, now I'm going to POR15 that. So, but this is where you need to look. Inside there, this is where you need to look to see what sort of catastrophes are going on. It's a really good place to look. It takes 2 seconds to take that cover off.
That's naked. Need a new one.
No one dare put this on because I'll get a cold. Can't believe how good this floor is. You know, the amount of water that was getting in. It's absolutely mint. There's no rust in it whatsoever at all. Yeah, so gonna go through a few of these, I reckon. Yeah, need this. Shit, it's just covered in shit. I don't know how you could do a restoration without a rotisserie. I mean, yeah, trying to do that on your bum, sitting there trying to, after hitting it with a wire wheel, you just hit it with some lacquer thinners and it just takes all the residue of that bloody black stuff off. And yeah, no, she's going to come up mint. So on this side, I had to do a patch up in there and in there, and also had to do a little patch on top of the sill there. There was just like a cratery type bit of rust which was just too thin, so I patched that. I didn't film it, but it was the same as the other side, except this side was much better. Much better patching with you know, the result was amazing. I put a few photos on my Facebook page. Okay, along here, this is the intersection of the B pillar. I mean, this seam from the B pillar to the sill was looking pretty good, but I did notice that there's just a smidgen hint of rust creeping out from underneath that filler there. Now, what I did on the other side, and I've basically done it on the whole car, anywhere where there's seam sealer that, you know, looks like a little water trap, especially that one there, it's got just a tiny hint of rust sticking out. Now, I could just ignore that and, you know, carry on my merry way and sand it back and put some, you know, put it into the primer, the 2-pack primer, and then high fill, of course. But the thing is, it's still there, and it's going to come back and get you one day. I'm using my Dremel with this funny looking, it's like a little mill post type thing. It's quite cool. So as you can see here, I've actually removed that seam sealer in there all the way along. There's no rust at all, and it gets right in there too. It's really cool. But I know once I hit this, we're gonna discover something. So let's have a look. So just humour me, guys. And there's a little spot in there just of sort of discoloration. So I'll clean that out as well. It's like a bloody dentist, you know. You come across a loose filling, you don't think, oh yeah, there's $400. You think, no, you better do it. Okay, so yeah, there was a little bit of rust. I will give it some metal ready. Can't remember what it does. Changes the pH in the steel or something. I don't know exactly what it does, but supposed to leave it on for 10 minutes or something. I don't know. What does it say? 10 to 20 minutes. Okay, so that's been about 15 minutes. Got no running water down here, so here's my water spray. Just wash that off. Loosen it up a bit because it has dried off a bit. Now water would have seeped up underneath that seam, so you've got to heat the whole seam up so it all evaporates out. So I'm not sure if you can see in there, but it's just got a little bit of a tarnish there where that little rust spot was. But that's all dead now, that rust is killed. So now just going to put some POR 15 on that, and that'll last for 100 years, hopefully. Or well and truly once after I've decomposed. Look, there's a really good reason for me having to clean this filler out from that channel. This is a gutter. I wanted to see how bad the rust was up in here. It's not too bad, it's salvageable. I have to give that a good drink of POR 15. It's just that down at the bottom here, I'll just flip the car up a bit. So as you can see, we've got some pretty severe rust in here and in here. That's all rusted out, that's sort of just hanging. We've also got a little dab of rust up there. Okay, this is on the C-pillar. I mean, that's all fixable with POR 15 and grind all that out and treat it. But this here needs to be replaced. Now, I wanted to check up that gutter to see what the condition was, all the way up there, to see what the condition of the gutter was. It's salvageable. It's not 100% great, but it's okay. So I'll clean that up and treat it, POR 15 it, and then we can put some new sealer in there. So yeah, so I'm going to patch in. I don't exactly know how to do it. I might just cut that section out of the old car and just take off what I need and just try and patch in. Okay, that's the piece I need. I've got to clean it up. I hit it with a sandblaster, and this was a really good looking piece, heaps better than this. And yes, we've got a couple of rust holes, so I'm going to have to repair them. And then I've got to actually finish it a little bit lower, around about there, because there's a second piece of steel which becomes incorporated in the channel, and that's a pain. We don't want to go anywhere near that, so I'm just going to cut straight across and remove that and insert that. I'll repair that, clean that up, get that all gorgeous, and carry on our merry way. It's got rust holes, but look at the rust on the back. So these things are a secret ticking time bomb. Well, there we have it. Tricky little repair, that, because right on the edge. So, and we're going to put seam sealer down through the channel, and hopefully that'll keep the water out of it. That's good. Okay, so we've got that off. Cut through there with the bloody grinder, trying to get a spot weld out, but anyways, I'll repair that. But we've got a little bit of rust. I've just wire brushed this down there, got some rust in there. Okay, that's got to be fixed. Another rust hole there. That's a factory hole, and so's that one. We've got a little rust hole here, and some on the corner there. Looking pretty good. Got a little blowout there where I was joining the two pieces, but I'll probably just put a bit of filler in there. I didn't want to hit it with a welder.
and she's looking great. So I spot welded it, and just put a couple of little tacks down the bottom there. And I've just POR, well, I've just metal prepped it. So I'm going to put some POR 15 on it, inside and out. And yeah, there she's good to go. So it's all brand new. It's bloody great. Just down in here, on each side, there's just a little intersection where there's a little, just a little hole where 3 pieces of steel meet. There was always some putty in there on both sides. So I've got this product called Knead It. I've used it before. It's really quite cool. You just pretty much, well, it's pretty old. You just chop off a piece, really, I think. Yeah, I'll just chop some off. It's got a core of that sort of the hardener, and the putty is around the outside. So I'll just chop off a piece and start kneading. See what happens, eh? Just knead it so it mixes both colours to one sort of uniform colour. Okay, so that's quite nice. It's all one colour. So I'm just going to break off a little piece. They really overdo it in the factories. It sets like a rock. It's bloody amazing stuff. Oops. And you're right to prime straight over the top of that. So yeah, so I had to go and buy some new wire brushes, and the whole floor is just immaculate condition. So I'm just gonna do the whole under dash for all the floor. Here's the best part of a couple of days there, guys. Jeepers. It's hard work doing that. I've fluff. So it's totally stripped right up to the sort of the back seat, into the boot. This is why I'm doing it, because look at that filler there. That's just seam seal. It's just been bloody splashed on. It's so messy. And that's what it was all like all the way through the car. I mean, in around here and just everywhere. Oh, she's all done. Looks great. All up under the dash and over the floor. Because I did it in the rotisserie and I flipped it up, got some dust on this side in the paint there, come out of the B pillar here, and some on the hump there too. But that'll all sand out, and it's going to have just the primer, and just put into the 2K primer for the moment, and might spray it in the body colour, whatever we choose. I'm now going to do the gutters. Okay, grind all of that bloody filler out because it's all cracked up. There's little sort of surface rust under there and whatnot. Yeah, I have to pick a colour soon. Do the big reveal. It'll have to be a surprise. I sort of, yeah, keep going full circle. I mean, I love black. I'd love to black. It'd be awesome too, But still got the burgundy in mind. But still got this purple and indigo type colours in my head as well. So I'm using the Dremel with a little cut-off wheel, and I'm just sort of massaging it across the filler and just breaking it out, and I'm not grinding into any steel or anything. So it works pretty well. Okay, you might notice in there's a crack, just the sealer is sort of separating a little bit, shrunk back from the body. There we go. Underneath there, the water's got in, of course, and there's just this surface rust on that gutter. If that's left or just bogged over or sprayed over, and that's going to give you grief. It's a really good result. We've just got, I don't know if you can see that there, just a little bit of surface rust in there that's not cancerous. So I'll get that with the POR 15. The whole gutter is absolutely mint. Really, it's in good nick. Nothing in there all the way along. It's just brilliant. So I'm going to POR 15 this side. I'll do the proper full-on treatment, the metal ready and whatnot, and the aqua clean. And I'm going to get all that stuff. That's going to be awesome. Notice I'm doing the entire A pillar. How many times on an XA, XB, XC do you see this bloody A pillar breaking out and rusted? Well, there's no rust on this, but you do see it. So, okay, these sills, I'm just giving them a scratch back. That's all the metal prep sort of residue. I guess that metal's treated, but
yeah, it's left that sort of crusty, salty look on there. I'm going to paint the door jambs and the sills on both sides, and then 2-pack epoxy on both sides, and then I'll do the floor, because there'll be a bit of overspray on there, and I've got to sand that floor back anyway. So yeah, this, look at the balance of this rotisserie. It's just, I've taken all of the sort of the locking devices out, and you can just stop it wherever you want. It's just brilliantly balanced, you know. So it just makes it so easy. You don't have to go around to the back and wind her on, and yeah. There's bloody Adam for you, man. What an engineer. What a guy. And with the door jambs, you probably notice there's still paint left on them. But what I did, I went through and I wire brushed the whole area. Anything that looked dubious, any crusty or flaky looking paint, anything with a rust stain, I wire brushed back, and then I hit it with a just the orbital sander. And yeah, so, and I've basically scratched it all back now, so it's all keyed into 120. And I'm going to leave that as it is. I'm just going to prime straight over that with the 2-pack. Just hit that with the wire brush, and then give it a good wash down, and do the rest from here. I'm going to flip it up. So around here there's glue and sealants and all sorts of nasties. I wash this down with lacquer thinners first, get all of that stuff off, and then give it a little clean off with some, what do they call that, Prep-Sol. Got all the glue from when they do the hood lining, so the lacquer thinners just melts it. This is just a bit of Prep-Sol, because the lacquer thinner's got such a quick flash off. It leaves basically a snail trail of everything, a film over it. So this just gets the last of it off, and then it's clean, oil-free and grit and glues and silicons and whatever's. It's ready for sanding. Well, here we go with the door jambs are all done. They come up brilliantly. Got one little run up there. Yeah, you might be able to see it. It'll sand out. Of course, I'm not sure if you can see, that's where I patched. You might be able to see. It's just, I really was really careful with it, but it's just sunk in just a little, but I'll just put a little bit of bog over that and finish that off and then we'll high fill it. But boy, these sills are in amazing condition. I mean, even the seams just along the bottom are as straight as arrows. It's never been bellied out. And of course the other side's exactly the same. So I wanted to spray inside those loom channels, so they're all nice and fresh. So tomorrow, it's the roof. Tomorrow after work I'll come down and I'll strip the roof. I'm back to work tomorrow, which is a pain, but has to be done. I'll strip the roof, clean up this inside windscreen channel. Might need to do a bit of, I might need to do a bit of POR 15, so I won't be able to get primer onto the roof tomorrow night, but at least I'll have it stripped ready to go for Tuesday night. Just doing some knead it. These holes that they had the oh god, they do it so terribly in the factory. Just like a big thumbprint in the filler, in the putty. This stuff is amazing. I did a test on it, and I got a little piece left over the other day, and it God, it set like a stone. So just a little bit, you know. They put mega chunk in there. Complete with fingerprints. Oh god, that's going off already. Shit, I'll have to make some more up. Bloody hell.